If a season's only 8 episodes,
What am I supposed to do with this? Like, ooh, done face ass.
sharing is not caring, according to Netflix. Hey guys, it's your girl Cameron, and I'm back at it again with another video. And today we're going to be talking about how streaming services are monopolizing content and ruining the spirit of viewers. Recently, Netflix has been in the headlines, as well as Hulu and other streaming services, for imposing a new policy about password sharing. They're cracking down. And not only has this amplified this conversation, people have been discussing all of the issues wrong with streaming services and their frustrations. So today I wanted to discuss the declining direction of streaming services. People are realizing the absolute power that streaming services have to gatekeep content, monopolize media, and also doing it without clear explanation and stifling creativity in some ways. And streaming could potentially be ruining TV content and the consumption indefinitely. Issa Rae recently called out Hollywood for being scared of pioneering creative. She said, quote, "Now these conglomerate leaders are also making the decisions about Hollywood. Y'all aren't creative people, so stick to the money. You're killing your own industry." And I think streaming is starting to fall into this as well. I'm going to provide you a laundry list of why streaming is on the decline or why people aren't satisfied, because I would argue, do you think it's going anywhere? That would be something good to comment down below. The trajectory of how cable transitioned into streaming and how we got to where we are now. So let's talk about it. Let's chat it up down below, and hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more commentary content just like this video. We are growing this year. We are up. We are on the rise. And without further ado, let's just get straight into the commentary. We're going to do the not so fun stuff first. I think this is important. Let's discuss the transition from cable to streaming. Very briefly, y'all. Not my area of expertise, but I think this adds context. So cable developed roughly between 1948 and 1950 in areas of Arkansas, Oregon, and Pennsylvania. Satellite signals were weak or non-existent in some of these areas, so satellites were placed in strategic locations to get the best signals. Cables were used to bring those better signals to homes for families to then consume media and entertainment. And by 1962, 850,000 customers within confines of 800 cable systems were using these. And these numbers triggered the need to invest in further cable programming. And by the 80s, cable had a variety of programming for various ages and demographics. By this point, millions of people were subscribing, with about 16 million subscriptions by 1980. And keep in mind that you only needed one cable subscription per household. So the amount of people actually using it, quadruple that. So now more households had cable than those that didn't. And it was a part of the middle class American life. Cable functions such as the DVR, modern on-demand programming, and streaming found their footing in the millennium. And as grand as all of this sounds, right? Cable became business as usual for American families. Cable was a bit at a crossroads, with the internet gaining more footing. There was more common access to the average person, so connection speeds were fast and reliable to become comparable with cable. And some of these major cable companies that a lot of us used were Verizon, Dish, Comcast, Charter Communications, AT&T. I was a DirecTV kind of girl. Stand up. So what were the benefits of streaming? Comment down below some extra ones that I might miss in this list. 1. Streaming initially did feel like a cheaper option. And it still is for a lot of users. But I think you were just thinking, hey, I only really need like this one or two. And you were good. And you were saving hundreds of dollars a month versus spending on cable. And according to LifeWire, cable is more expensive because of more content options. So this is why you pay so much for cable, because the ability to bring you content is based on package agreements with major content networks. Number 2, why did we like streaming? Because there was a lack of commercials initially. The traditional model of having 5 minutes of commercials in between, if you're watching BET, we're talking like 10 or 15. it wasn't cutting it for our short attention spans anymore, y'all. We want to watch what we want to watch, and we want to watch it now. And initially, there weren't really any commercials that I can think of, or advertisements like there were on cable. 3, you no longer had to spend hours on the phone with cable companies negotiating prices. The hoops that you had to go through in order to get a lower bill, you would either have to drop to a cheaper package, supplement cable with other services, bundle services, sign a contract, shop around, ask for a discount, threaten to leave, or switch to another cable company and then do it all over again. That was a frustration for a lot of people with cable, and streaming services provided this is what it is, this is what it's going to be, boom. If you could access streaming providers anywhere that there is internet, and it's supported by different devices such as iPhones, iPads, TVs, computers. So mobility was key. Lastly, there was no contract with streaming like cable services, which often required a 1-year contract. Streaming is a cancel anytime agreement. And a lot of us like that because you don't have to feel like you're married to something. So over the years, we've had many streaming services. We have Netflix, Hulu, Prime, HBO, Holy Trinity, Holy Quartet. You have Paramount, Peacock, Disney Plus, Apple TV, Sling, Zeus, Tubi, Freebie. We got so many, and I'm probably missing a bunch. Boom. And some of these services developed because, for example, companies like Disney and Paramount realized that licensing out their content was like the equivalent of succumbing to their competition. So, hey, I don't want to really give Netflix the rights to use this, so I'm actually going to create my own streaming rights. We're going to play all the Disney movies on here. We're going to play all of our in-house content on our app. And that's what a lot of them did. They wanted a piece of the streaming pie. So more companies were hopping on the bandwagon, which created more options for consumers and more need for multiple streaming services, y'all. So we were like, hey, we saving money, boom, boom, boom. And I just listed off like 10 different services. Like we're starting to lose the plot a little bit. So let's talk about how streaming services have somewhat monopolized content based off of their respective platforms. Each streaming service now produces their own shows, meaning if you want access to a show, you have to have a specific streaming service. So this does present less options than cable TV. Now, in order to watch, let's say, Love is Blind, you have to have Netflix. In order to watch The Kardashians, you have to have Hulu. In order to watch Euphoria, you have to have Max. And in order to watch Fresh Prince reboot, you have to have Peacock. If you want to watch BMF, you have to have Stars. It almost becomes exhausting to keep up with what show comes on what platform and what subscriptions you do have to pay for, right? Because if you really like a show, am I going to cancel my subscription until it comes back on again? Probably not. You lose track. And the streaming model does bank on people forgetting about their subscription and also ceasing to cancel it. Now, when it's all said and done, you're paying close to cable prices for multiple streaming services. And that means if your content goes away forever, these platforms can have control over completely wiping a TV show off the face of the earth. So let's talk about how streaming changed the format of TV shows specifically. We all know that shorter episodes are quite common with the streaming model. We also know that serialized content is put to the forefront. So this is meaning the binge model. They'll release entire seasons versus the traditional once a week release. Personally, one of my least favorite things about the binge model is that shows not being weekly also affect the viewership community. A lot of what made TV viewing fun and exciting was, hey, like, let's go on Twitter, let's chat about the show. Let's talk about this at school the next day. But if everybody hasn't finished it, you don't want spoilers, so you probably avoid going on social media. Everybody's at their own pace. And I think it lessens like that community aspect of watching. Now, I know that some streaming services like HBO Max does tend to drop shows weekly, and platforms like Netflix are starting to bundle episodes. So, for instance, Love is Blind might drop 3 episodes here, 3 episodes next week, and a couple episodes later. But it's a lot less likely that we're getting that weekly drop model. Another thing that streaming changed with TV shows is shorter seasons. If a season's only 8 episodes,
what am I supposed to do with this? Like, ooh, done face ass. What is this?
To me, it doesn't make sense that the episodes would only be 30 minutes. And on my blog, I'm talking to you. If you think of older shows with longer seasons, such as the season 1 of I Love Lucy, it was 35 episodes. Grey's Anatomy, Secret Life of the American Teenager, CSI. All of these seasons were seemingly longer. We're talking maybe 25 episodes, 15 at the least. It wasn't quite common only to have, let's say, 8 episodes. And a motivator for longer TV seasons were because of syndication. TV series often qualified for syndication after airing 100 episodes, and that was usually accomplished after 4 or 5 seasons. It made sense for shows to have longer seasons in order to meet this threshold. They can get profit for reruns. With the rise of streaming, shorter seasons were encouraged, and Netflix original shows like Orange is the New Black, House of Cards were only 13 episodes. And notably, HBO and AMC had already been producing shows with shorter seasons, to be fair, but streaming just popularized and exacerbated this aspect. Notably, shorter seasons also work in unison with the binge model. It's much harder to binge a 22-episode series than a 10 to 13-episode series. And now post-production does take longer, so I think people do shorter seasons to be able to fit in the post-production, special effects, VFX, all of that good stuff. Now, a reason why series have become shorter is in large part due to writer strikes. So in 2007 to 2008, the Writers Guild of America striked, and that led to shortened seasons and was done out of necessity. Production was interrupted due to the strike, and shows were not able to complete full season orders. So, for example, Grey's Anatomy shortened from 23 episodes to 19, and Desperate Housewives shortened from 23 episodes to 17. And there is a current debate that shorter seasons can lead to actually having better TV because it minimalizes the filler episodes, which can be irrelevant to the plot. The narrative can be streamlined and more direct. Personally, I like filler episodes. I'm a huge ABC Family fan, so I used to watch Make It or Break It, The Fosters, Lincoln Heights, The Lion Game. I personally like filler episodes because I think there's a deeper connection with characters. I think you feel more engulfed in that world. But it is a valid argument that maybe shows are better today because you cut to the chase. Comment down below. I'm really curious about your guys' opinions on that particularly. So the writer's strike exposed why seasons were shorter due to cutting costs on writers' rooms. Shows used to be written within longer periods of time, and this obviously can also affect quality and storyline gaps. Production studios are budgeting and don't want to also pay writers what they're worth and actors what they're worth. So they can shorten production time in all aspects, the filming the show, the writing of the show, and movie studios as well have claimed that they need higher budgets and things are more expensive to produce high quality sets, paying major actors higher wages and salaries, and honor filming locations and special effects. So it's cheaper to front the bill for that higher quality content if it's just for 13 episodes versus trying to do a 25 episode season. Shows did look cheaper back then. That's just a fact. Further down the line, we had COVID. Every TV show had a COVID episode. That was insufferable. But TV production shut down and expectedly content slowed. Quote, COVID-19 protocols forced producers to spend as much as 30% more to produce the same number of episodes, so the cutbacks help save money in other ways. This created shortened seasons again, such as This Is Us, and a shortened final episode of Euphoria. And in turn, we saw a rise in reality TV content on these streaming platforms, and reality TV has seen a resurgence under the streaming model. So if you like reality TV, that's good news for you. But all of this contributed to the shortening of TV shows, the episodes, as well as the seasons. Now, what I think most people are very frustrated about are streaming services' likelihood to more frequently cancel shows and produce new shows. It's a Ferris wheel. One person gets on, spin around slowly for a second, and another person gets off. So they have the habit to cancel or remove their own content. Streaming services evaluate user data and imply that Viewers do have more to do with the cancellation of shows than I think we think. Netflix US and Canada scripted series chief Peter Friedlander says, quote, I think the top 10 is a useful tool for people to find shows, discover shows, talk about shows, and also helps you for viewing. The top 10 really serves in that way. And I think that's something that speaks to the popularity in that moment. And then we have to make our decisions. So this can be because they evaluate data such as completion rates. This could mean that a percentage of accounts that started a series maybe dipped off and didn't finish a series, right? So this initial hype existed, but the numbers actually weren't showing that people were watching the content. For example, the show 1899 is a tall tale sign of this. It was canceled after 1 season and 10 episodes, despite making the #1 spot and racking up 80 million viewing hours in 1 week. Data from UK-based analytics company Digital Eye said it appears that 1899 had a very steep drop-off, especially between episode 1 and episode 2. The data tracking company suggests that only around 32% of Netflix accounts that started the show actually followed through and finished the season. So despite a lot of people saying 1899 was great, the quality was stellar, the top viewed show, according to data, the turnover rate was very high. Also, another issue with canceling shows, there's muddy creator compensations. Quote, as streaming services continue to expand their libraries, creators are grappling with fair compensation for their work. Developing standardized royalty rates and ensuring fair compensation for artists would help support the creation of higher quality content. And this was from Motion Picture EDU. And as a result, many streaming services are removing their own original content. Some platforms have done this to save money, or more bluntly, not pay creatives behind the content produced. And this reduces the amount of royalties associated with high-value productions and residuals that do have to trickle down to crew, actors, and the creators of these shows and movies that Netflix is funding. And also, producing certain shows are costly. So many of these companies did overspend to boost their productions in order to entice more viewers and gain subscribers. It's no longer financially viable for a lot of these streaming services. If you look at The Get Down, cancellation. Excellent show, amazing show. 10 out of 10, one of the best shows that Netflix has made. They canceled it. And it was also one of the most expensive shows that they made at the time. And I guess they felt like the rate of return wasn't worth keeping the show going. It was too expensive to do so. And also, some titles have lost steam, and it's costly for the company to keep the show just sitting there while statistically people aren't watching it. Sadly, content that debuts on streaming services could also become lost media because audiences may not have the legal means to access that content or watch their favorite shows or movies ever again. So that's an increasing risk. Now, a solution to that could be maybe Netflix should be more cautious and particular about what they greenlight. Because you get people's hopes up just to bring them down. Because people like a lot of this content and Netflix just cancels it. HBO just cancels it. And there's hardly a clear explanation sometimes for that. In the words of cancellation, I briefly mentioned Rap Shit by Issa Rae. It was given 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and was canceled after season 2. Guys, that finale was so good. I was ready to see what Shauna and Mia were going to do. And Max shut it down. And they gave no true official reason, right, for why. And this is disappointing because A, it was left on a cliffhanger. And B, I mean, since HBO Max had merged with Discovery in May 2023, forming Max, the network has dropped several shows centering on Black voices. A lot of people have expressed this concern. Shows like Legendary and Sweet Life LA were canceled. And this is starting to become a pattern for some viewers. Somebody said, quote, that little DEI wave in media post 2020 was so short-lived. Saturdays, Rap Shit, Sweet Life Los Angeles, The Wonder Years, Queens, All Rise, Southside, Grand Crew, Truth Be Told, and so many more Black shows I loved watching are canceled. And we know their target audiences were watching it. People were talking. So with streaming services consistently canceling shows, not giving solid explanations, while also keeping up other shows that are losing steam, like let's say Euphoria, for example, they can keep that in the drafts. We don't even want it anymore. But best believe HBO, they're going to put that out as soon as it's ready to go. And we're probably going to watch it. But we're not going to watch it. It's old. It's done. But then you're canceling other shows on cliffhangers that people are genuinely interacting with, and they present value because they're creative and there's something different that we don't have on the market, like rap shit, right? We have to talk about streaming services cracking down and finding more ways to price gouge people, because it's happening and it's not going to stop. So most streaming services now have add-ons, and they have a no ad version that's usually the premium. And then you have the commercial, which is usually the basic version. Let's say, for instance, the basic ad tier for Hulu is $8.99 and the no ads Hulu is $17.99. Then you have additional add-ons for premium channels like Starz, Showtime, Cinemax, all adding an additional charge on top of that fee. So it becomes extremely complicated with add-ons and packages, and you're still hitting limitations. You're still not getting everything you want out of one streaming service at this point. Because some of these, you have Spanish add-ons, you got sport add-ons, you got Disney Plus add-ons, you got unlimited screens add-ons, enhanced DVRs add-ons, enhanced cloud DVR add-ons. Like, the add-ons are ridiculous, and they thought we wouldn't notice. If you think about live options that are very similar to cable, you have things like YouTube TV and Hulu Live. And I know YouTube TV, for example, I think I pay $76.99 a month, which increasingly goes up. It's still cheaper than cable, but we still needed to add a sports add-on, and we had to add other channels, and you're still not getting everything that you need out of that one app. You're starting to climb into that territory where we're getting in cable territory, and we're not liking it. For example, Netflix is now going to crack down on the amount of users you can have on your account. They're limiting it to households. They got tired of password sharing because they weren't making enough money as it was. The CEO just couldn't get one less boat a year. One less yacht a year, you know. They just were like, oh, we're just not going to let you guys share. Sharing is not caring, according to Netflix. Users will have to pay an additional $8 for each extra member per month. For instance, my dad, my mom, my sister, and me. Bro, like, we're a family. And now every time they log in, an email gets sent to my mom's email saying, verify that this person can use the account. Like, it's too much work. I just want to watch TV. And recently, Hulu has been under fire because Hulu has now added terms in their agreement that ban subscribers from password sharing, Hulu and Disney Plus, unless otherwise permitted by your service tier. So then they're going to get people to get into another service tier because maybe the basic service tier does not allow you to have more than people in your household. And you know what? They're geniuses because we love our shows too much. We're not giving them up.
We gonna prove her wrong.
But they gonna be mad. You guys remember like the little piracy commercial before all the movies? It's like,
would you steal somebody's purse running down the street?
because, you know, we used to get the DVDs from the corner store, the bootleg films. They just want piracy to come back. And people have the means to do it. And I used to get viruses on my computer, you know, 123 Movies. Don't arrest me. I was like 12. But that messed up my computer, y'all. The viruses, I wasn't clicking the X fast enough, and my computer was jacked up. So I really would not like to resort to that. But other people are saying on social media, I don't care. I'm not paying for this anymore. Catch me if you can. It's decreasing in the reliability of streaming services now. I think that people are having distrust with streaming services and are growing more frustrated. Apparently, Amazon is being sued after raising Prime Video prices. The lawsuit says it's deceptive to charge $3 extra after advertising Prime was commercial-free for years. They said, quote, subscribers must now pay extra to get something they already paid for. So it begins, and so it will spiral. These streaming companies are going to do what they want. And I'm glad they're getting called out for it. They should be called out for it. When before, I don't think a lot of people had much bad to say about streaming services. So the golden question, do I think that streaming is on the decline? absolutely, when we talk about its resourcefulness, 100%. That was the main attraction, was the cheapness and the fun content. However, I think as consumers, we're not disciplined enough. Honestly, I think we all have attachment to our shows, and I think we will continue to probably watch. But I think they're going to see a rise in people illegally accessing content. And I also think people are going to start resorting to the lower tiers because, I guess we're just going to have to watch ads now, which works for the company. You know what? They win. They win because they're going to make money either way. What am I talking about? Anyways, like, comment down below. What do you guys think of streaming services today? Do you think that the content is actually better? Are you okay with all of these new stipulations and hoops that they're making us go around to consume the content? I know this video wasn't music related, but I do like talking about TV. I'm very passionate. I think it all connects to music video, cinematography, performance, all of that good stuff. So occasionally I will be making some videos outside the realm of music. So I do hope you enjoyed this video today, but hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you guys in my next video.